Hello and welcome to Scale to Seven Figures and our $1 Million Fireside Chat. I am Lisa Anderson, Strategic Business Advisor, Virtual CFO with Untitled Transformation Solutions and your $1 Million Mentor. And I am excited you are joining me. Scale to Seven Figures is an interactive group of small business owners in the business to corporate, and business to government markets who are ready to scale their businesses to the next level. Our group is an opportunity to share, learn, and grow together without competition. Each week, I bring tips, tactics, and strategies through our $1 Million Masterclasses and our $1 Million Fireside Chats. If you are not familiar with us, head on over to www.scaletosevenfigures.com and check us out. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy our next powerful conversation. Well, hello everybody, and welcome. Happy Wednesday. And all day long, I've been thinking it was Thursday, but it's Wednesday, and I'm happy that you all are here. Welcome to our $1 Million Fireside Chat. I am very excited that you are joining us, and just let me know where you are joining in from. As you know, we are streaming from multiple locations. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. So I'd love to know where you're joining in. I'd love to know what you are thinking about the conversation. And let us know what questions you have. Drop all of that information in the chat. And I appreciate you. And also don't forget to share the links here so that others can join in. Some of your business owner colleagues can join in on the conversation as well. I am Lisa Anderson, Strategic Business Advisor and Virtual CFO with Untitled Transformation Solutions and your $1 Million Mentor. And happy Black History Month. I am so excited about this month. I'm excited about this year. I'm just excited. I'm sitting on cloud nine. I'm still there, and I plan to be here all year long. Our theme for the month of February is building wealth and legacy now within Black-owned businesses. That's what we want to do. We want to build legacy and wealth now. So last week, I delivered our masterclass for the month, where I just define legacy and I also define wealth. And I recommended certain shifts that Black-owned businesses need to make in order to build their legacies. So if you missed that, please check out our YouTube channel and take a look at some of the things that we talked about, and as well as some of the tips and strategies, and start putting those things into place. Today, we are going to continue the conversation as I talk with insurance broker, bale bondsman, and serial entrepreneur Owens, who is going to talk about strategies to invest in business as a means of springing into wealth. So let's welcome Aaron to the show. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited that you are here. It's always wonderful to see you.
Yes.
So before we dive in, share with everybody who you are and what you do. You do a lot.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Owens, and by trade, I'm in the human service field. That's what my degree is in. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I think my mission is building economic power through financial literacy. So whether I'm in my insurance agency, my bail bonds business, commercial real estate, residential real estate, assisted living opening up soon for military veterans, and education over entertainment, apparel company that's now bringing financial literacy through workshops and seminars, and a few other ventures that I'm a part of.
Yeah, so you are really living legacy and wealth building out loud, right?
Yeah, they say that the average millionaire should have at least 7 streams of income. I'm just trying to get as many and do them the right way. And I got a business coach that tells me I need to slow down a little bit.
Well, not necessarily slow down. We want to align them all, right? We don't want them to be too spread apart. We want them all to be moving towards the same mission.
Right. And that's that's building economic power through financial literacy. And that's
absolutely
what I like to do with everything that I do.
But I do agree that there should be multiple streams of income. What I've learned personally myself, and I haven't been in business for 24 years, is that building those multiple streams of income happen over time. Um, you don't want to do them all at one time because it kind of makes you feel scattered. But as you are building upon one business, that gives you the opportunity to build and invest in something else. And so, that's why I say we want to be aligned so that we're not spread too thin.
Exactly, because I've had business that I've had for over 15, 20 years, some 8, 9 years, and then some that I'm just getting into. But you definitely want to make sure you got things moving in the right direction before you go adding more to the plate.
Absolutely. So why don't we talk a little bit about your journey and how you got here to where you are with so many opportunities that are helping you build your legacy.
I mean, I can think back to it, it all started really right out of high school. I was working as an electrician. I was working in Silver Springs on, I believe it's Second Avenue, and we were, I was a pretty sharp guy, so I was like a junior apprentice. So I was a guy that could read the blueprints and everything. So they would send me to like the highest floors before they pulled the concrete to lay out where the pipes were going to go so they could pull the wires later. So one day it's winter time, January, and we used to have to ride to the location in the back of a pickup truck. Not a pickup truck, but a van. There's like 5 of us back there. And one day it just got so cold up there. It's like, I told my partners, I said, I'm not going to be back Monday. I'm not going to be back. I'm going to college. So with that being said, that Monday I went, took the placement test, enrolled in Anne Arundel Community College, and went to see an advisor. They said, so what do you want to do, Mr. Owens? I said, I don't care what I do. I just know that when it's cold, I want heat, and when it's hot, I want air conditioning. And you say, so tell me thing. And then I was like, well, I don't know. I knew somebody. I said, well, I'll be a probation officer. So I took some human service classes, ended up doing a year and a half there, transferred to Morgan, got my degree in sociology, criminal justice. And I've been in the work field, local and state government, a couple of nonprofits. I realized that I really didn't like working for people. So at the time, having my first child, one day got into insurance. I said, well, if I'm not going to be here, if I have a child, I have to put some insurance in place. So the guys came through, they talked to me about insurance, and the whole concept intrigued me. So I ended up joining that group as a network marketing group doing insurance. And I'm working and doing insurance. And then I realized, hey, once you got insurance license, if you get this other license, you can do bail bonds. So, okay, well, let me get that license. So then I incorporated the bail bonds and still working. Then I realized with the bail bonds, I was making more money. I was doubling my salary. And even doing a little piece with it. I wasn't doing as much with the insurance, but the bail bonds, I was doubling my salary. So I decided, okay, let me try to get out here on my own. So I started doing the bails full time, and then the opportunity came to buy an insurance agency. So I partnered up and bought an insurance agency. And then one day, one of my partners needed some help doing an eviction. So I helped him out with that. And, we did that. And then a few months later, another opportunity came where a partner said, hey, remember you was doing an eviction? It's an apartment complex over here that needs some help with that. I said, all right, well, cool. So me and another partner put a cleaning company together. And then the story just goes on and on. As things came along, just started piling on. And, with that, the bail bonds I've been doing for 15 and insurance almost 20 years. Wow. The 2013, I opened my insurance agency in June. In December, I opened the cleaning company. And from here we are today, all of them are still here and all of them surviving and thriving.
Yeah, that's fantastic. As you tell your story and just kind of listening to it, every one of them, they actually do relate to one another, right? There's really not a lot of separation between them. They all are kind of in the same industry.
It's helping people. It's helping people. It's being a servant. That's the thing that I always felt like I wanted to be a servant. And then I forgot about the last part is the education over entertainment company. With me having so many different businesses, and for me, I was like, legacy is my thing. That's legacy, especially when it comes to insurance and if go fund yourself, put something in place and make sure your people that you love, your loved ones are taken care of, whether you're here or not. So legacy is super, super important to me. So I wanted to do something with my children. So I decided to do a company called Education Over Entertainment, and that's OVA Entertainment. And it was just an apparel company. We were just going to do T-shirts. And then me, I like 2019, I quarterly, I try to do some type of training or workshop, finances, read books. So I went to a couple of seminars around the country, and I realized I wanted to bring something back to the DMV, that same financial literacy. So I, set up to do a Spring in the Wealth workshop with Dr. Boyce Watkins at Arundel Mills at Live Casino and Hotel, but COVID changed that. So now it moved to, a virtual thing. But the education over entertainment evolved just from wanting to build a legacy for my children and something that a business that I could build with them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's what it's all about, is building something bigger than us that can give back to those, our loved ones, for a long time, right? For years and years to come.
I tell a story to go back. I used to have, we had back in 07, 08, we had a mortgage company, a net bracket of a mortgage company. And first 2 months is when the market was crazy. So we're doing really good, and we're sitting down eating dinner. And one of my partners, who was just recently getting out of the military, retired, and he said, we paid all the bills, and we separated money, and we sit down at dinner. He's like, Aaron, this, it's good, but it ain't it. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, this ain't it. Like we did good. And at the time, 07, 08, I think everybody that month walked away, 4 of us walked away with between like 15 and 20,000. Can't remember the exact amount. So I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm not in the street. I ain't doing nothing wrong. I got 15,000 for the month, and something that I'm doing alongside other things.
Right.
Is good to me, and I'm excited. But he said, no. He's like, do you know your great great grandfather? And at this time, I'm like, no, why? I'm like, why should I? I said, on my mother's side, I might know a name. On my father's side, on my mother's side, I know a name. Yeah. The other 3, I do not know them. And I was like, Ellis, but what that's got to do with this? What we're doing today? We had a good month, first couple months in business. What does this have to do with anything? He said, no, I'm serious. He said, do you know? I said, I told you I don't know these people. So he was like, do you know why you don't know them? I said, because my mother didn't introduce me to all of them. He said, no, the reason you don't know them, because they didn't leave you anything. He was like, if you go into a Rockefeller, a Kennedy, a Rothschild, they can give you lineage. They can tell you who did what, when they did it. And that particular day kind of changed my whole thought process on how I was going to move in life. Because at that time I realized the 15,000 really wasn't nothing, because I've seen that type of money before.
Yeah.
If I wasn't here tomorrow, what would that do for my family?
Yeah. So, well, there's something about the process of passing down, the art of passing down. Somewhere within the generations, we lost that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I think about, just listen to your story, when I think about my family, my grandparents and their parents and so forth, there's land and real estate that's been passed down in our family, but somewhere in there we kind of lost it,
right?
And that's what we want to try to be able to get back. We need to elevate the mindset. I call it a millionaire's mindset, right?
Right.
We elevate the mindset and start really thinking and focusing in on the more important things, creating that lasting wealth, building towards that, instead of investing in, I wrote an article this weekend on it, but instead of investing in, instant gratification things.
Right. I definitely think that we turned a lot, not everybody, but a lot of us, including myself at times, has turned this life race into a sprint instead of a relay. So this is, this thing is about where you pass the baton at. If I got the baton in 5th place, and I can move my children and my grandchildren up to 2nd or 3rd place, so at least they can have a level playing field.
Yeah.
And I think we got caught up in like we wanted to be Usain Bolt. We wanted just to win the race and get the fastest time, and not really think about the long haul, because when you're gone, your legacy will still move on, and you can somebody can say Johnny was the fastest in the world, but Johnny kids are still struggling, and his family is still struggling because he didn't prepare. We hear those stories all the time where people didn't prepare.
Yep, absolutely. I have a client from many, many years ago, former client. He was building some really good value in his business. And then when he got, that really good contract, he did what a lot of business owners that I see in the Black owned business community in particular do. And that is he started to invest in the luxury vehicles. He bought one of the mega mansions. That's what everybody calls them. So he bought all those things. And then within a month, he lost that contract. And that contract caused him to go bankrupt. And later he fought his way back to rebuilding his business. Only within 8 months of having rebuilt the business, he had a heart attack and passed away. Wow. And there was nothing left for his family. Wow. So I don't like those stories. I don't want to see those stories either.
Right. And that's an unfortunate reality that we see a lot of times. And you being my business coach, and we talk about that. Like one of my major contracts, where lost about 70% of it due to COVID, but it's like, how do you find a way to pivot? But the reason I can maintain is because of the, living below my means, So it's definitely a thing that we gotta, because, one of the biggest things when you're in business is budget. You got to understand what happens, because as being an entrepreneur, you get sick sometimes. And sometimes that means you don't get paid, depending on your situation. It's not sick leave and sick pay,
That's right. That's right. So let's talk a little bit about your concept in terms of how to spring into wealth. I know that's the name of your event and the things that you have going on, but it's also, there's a concept behind that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, spring into wealth, and the concept is I just did a series on it not too long ago. It's kind of like the 5 I's to becoming a bank. Now, this is, I'm not asking people to become Wells Fargo or Bank of America, but more so become the bank within your own life and the life of the people you love, to be able to control your finance, your freedom, to be a bank, and to say to be able to withstand the drought or the downturn in society and in the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about those 5 I's.
Yeah. So okay, let's go. So the 5 I's, I had a series called the 5 I's to go fund yourself. The 5 I's to become the bank. I think that we all have the ability to control how we live the rest of our life. For me, I think it's a real sad situation where the average person works, between 40, 18 to 21, about 65. And to me, it's kind of sad to see that when people work that long and they go into retirement, their financial income, their income is so much lower than that of when they, that was supposed to be your glory years.
Right.
So my thing, Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world type, So the first I for me is investment. You got to have a situation where your money works for you. And the earlier you start, the longer you do it, the more it's going to, the rule of 72 says you divide your interest rate into 72, and that tells you how many years it takes your money to double. So the earlier you start and the more time you spend doing it and the more consistent you are, when it's time to retire, you're probably going to be in you're going to be in a much better situation if you remain consistent.
Yep.
The second I is include real estate. When I did my research, and I like to read a lot, and what I found, like the majority of wealthy people and millionaires have some type of real estate in their portfolio. McDonald's It's not about selling hamburgers. It's about the real estate that they, bring in. That's where the real money comes in, and
Yeah.
the franchising fees and things like that. So just have some real estate, whether it's rental real estate, commercial, however you want to do it. Just have some real estate in your portfolio. And then we have the thing that I'm excited about is investigate business opportunities. Talking to you and, been doing businesses for a long time. I have my degree. And I remember when I was going for my master's and I was in class and somebody called me for a bale. It was $100,000 with all the money. So they pay like 10%. And I'm sitting in class and I'm the second semester and I'm getting all A's. So I'm all pumped up. Like I'm in the human service field, but I'm also doing my businesses on the side. And what happened, I said, all right, I'll see you in about 30 minutes. I'm finishing up a class, text her. So I go to do the bill, make the money. I at the time you get like, of the 10,000, I got to pay 2% to the insurance company that kind of backs the paper. So I make $8,000. And when I went home that night, I sit back and said, okay, I'm in human service, working on my master's, and I can get the master's. It'll take me about another year and a half, but it was going to cost me about $40,000 out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And my increase on my job is going to be about $6,000 to $7,000 once I get the master's, and I'm $40,000 in debt, and I just made $10,000 in an hour and a half. I said, let me finish this class, and I don't think I'm gonna be finishing up it. But the other part about that is I knew that I couldn't give my master's to my children. But I could give my businesses, I could, give them everything that I have. And no matter how hard I worked to get that, if I was gonna stand there, I was gonna go in debt. And I had a ceiling. So I knew that you gotta have the business thing just made so much more sense because of the financial freedom that it gave me to create my own ceiling, to be around my family, to take my children to school every day, and knowing I wasn't incorporating more debt into that process. And that's money that I could use for the investment part.
Yeah.
So investigating business opportunity. And one of the other things about business opportunity is that I look at currently what's going on in the country, and we look at following the stimulus packages and the different things that government is trying to do to maintain business. It's cool that as an individual, if they put the stimulus out there, but the things that they're doing for businesses, if you got your things in order, is just is extraordinary, to help people maintain, So that's number 3.
Absolutely.
Number 4 for me is incorporate a trust or a family trust. And that's kind of like what happens when becoming a bank. So if you're saving and you have a trust and you're able to decide how things are going to play out with your family, it eliminates the frustration of people trying to figure stuff out because you can kind of plan how things go. And as you build into that trust, if you're consistent, and even if it's like a family trust and people are putting money into it and families working together now, and that may not happen in all families because you know how people are with money, but if you can put something together like that, we can become our own bank. Like we can become, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I did something one time. It's like you have these, mega churches, and hypothetically, if you have 1,000 members, and so let's say 300 of those members put $20, not every week, once a week. So 300 of that 1,000 put into some type of trust. That's $6,000. And if you do that $6,000 over people been at the same church for 40 years. Mm-hmm. The church could make enough money that now they could become the bank. When people in the church need to get a loan or, they get the interest, if understand the rule of 72. And I could go deeper into that, but it's like the bottom line is if we just structure our finances the right way and do the right things, having a trust can allow us to really be the bank. Yeah. A family can come to at their own trust and become their own bank, and everybody can be a Rockefeller, a Rothschild, or one of these families. Yeah. And then, the last I is insurance, which I am super, 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 super excited and crazy about, because I believe that, we all have the opportunity to go fund ourselves. We all have the opportunity. I say it like this. when I look into the face of my loved ones and know that tomorrow I may not be here, they're worth 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $200 a month to know that if I'm not here, that their quality of life does not have to change.
Yeah.
So that's the super important. And what life insurance does is like all the other ones, whether it's investments, real estate, incorporating the trust, or a business, if the life insurance is in place, while you're building those things, while you're putting those things together, the life insurance can ensure that those things happen whether you're here or not. Because once you can put enough in place to make sure that if this doesn't happen, that house is paid off and you ain't got to worry about your children losing because it's part of the trust. Yeah. If the business doesn't work, you can use a life insurance to fund the business so they can keep going. And in investments, if you're early in the investment stage and you haven't really done it long enough to secure what you need to have the quality of life later, the life insurance can secure all those things and make sure that they're all in place to moving forward if you're not here. And there's also living benefits to life insurance. People use life insurance all the time to fund different situations. So it's just understanding those situations and putting those things in place.
Yeah, absolutely. As you go through the 5 I's, I'm thinking in my mind, what have I done them?
Right.
Where do I play in each one of these? And actually, I've done every one of them.
And that's amazing. And that's why you are who you are.
So I always say legacy is intentional. So that's so you got 5 I's. I just added a 6th one. Legacy building is intentional, right?
Yeah, definitely. And all those things are like, sometimes we get so comfortable being uncomfortable that I hear people all the time, well, I don't have the money to do this. But the way I say, you can live your life. Like if you say you like shoes or something, and you got a pair of high heel shoes that cost $300 or Jordans that cost $300. That's cool to have those, but also invest in Nike. Put $200 in.
Let me tell you something. That's a great investment. And so I have a friend. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but she is sitting on a gold mine of tennis shoes, Nikes, Jordans in particular, and making a killing. Those jokers are selling for $600 a pair.
Right. So it's just like training your mind to say like it's a millionaire mindset, a wealth mindset. You can have the things that make you comfortable, and we all have our vices, things that we like to do regardless. So that's cool. Like I like to travel, but if I'm gonna spend money on travel, I'm also gonna spend money on making sure my children are straight, all the other things are straight, and my investments are straight. It's a 50-50 thing. I just can't spend it all on my vice.
Yes. Well, just going back to legacy and wealth building is all intentional. You can't, it's not a get rich quick. It is something that's going to happen over time. You have to be willing to invest in something today that's going to give you some good return later. Yeah. And I just go back to the example with the tennis shoes. I mean, they bought the tennis shoes. She and her husband, they bought the tennis shoes when they were, when they were hot at the time for what, $60?
Right.
And now years later, they're selling for $600. Right. I mean, that's intention. And I there's a whole lot of story behind that, which I won't tell. But she's sitting on a gold mine. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's being intentional in your process.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, when you think about, you've been in business for a while. You through all the things, all of your dealings, you deal with business owners. I know a lot of the business owners that you work with are minority owned. What would you say is, from your viewpoint, what is the number one reason why, or what's preventing them? What's the number one reason that's preventing them from building their wealth and legacy?
It almost, I think one of the things is I think it's mindset. And I think that I had to work on that. Like you have to believe you can do it. So whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, you're right.
That's right.
And I think people are so comfortable being like uncomfortable or just getting by that they don't believe that they can do it or willing to, because it takes that and fear. You know, I say fear is false evidence appearing real. I heard that one day and it just stuck with me. And I think that when you just do it, when you just take a chance and you have the mindset that you're going to make it work,
Yeah.
you figure out ways to make it work.
Yeah. So if you're a business owner and you're not doing any of those things right now, maybe you're doing one thing. You like, for me, many of my clients are invested in their business, right? They're following that eye, and they may have a few other things in place, but they haven't yet invested in some of the other areas. If somebody wanted to start that plan for building legacy and wealth using the 5 eyes, what would you recommend? Where would you recommend they begin?
My personal, I think they should come to Spring in the Wealth on March the 20th, 2021. They could check out Spring in the Wealth. And the reason I say that is not because that's an event I'm having, but the event is all about creating economic power through financial literacy. And, I had this hashtag that is get change to make change, which basically says we got to build our economic power in order to get the change that we need to move forward. And initially it was about a Juneteenth financial seminar with Dr. Boyce Watkins. But as COVID came into place and coronavirus, I decided to bring on a panel of national mortgage brokers, realtors, accountants like yourself, and just other people in the financial industry to help talk about the things people need to do to kind of bring these 5 eyes together and to get the information they need to help build financial power in our communities.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about the event. When is it, and how can people find out more about it?
It's Spring in the Wealth. Spring in the Wealth with Dr. Boyce Watkins and a panel of people in the financial industry. They can go to springinthewealth.com. We're also my company is also sponsoring it, is the sponsor, is Education Over OVA Entertainment. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And we do a webinar series leading up to the event every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Education Over Entertainment on Facebook, and just talking about, the 5 eyes and other things that can help our community grow financially and create economic power for our people.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Why, become the bank.
Yeah, you got to become the bank, and we don't want you to be Wells Fargo, but if you can grow that big, we encourage it. But be able to control your own financial, growth, and to be able to fund your own process. We want to be in a position that if your child or grandchild looks like they want to start a business or do something special, that they can have the funding without being turned down because they don't have the resources. And that's another thing that life insurance plays in part. Like, life insurance can be the resource. Like, listen, death has 100% completion rate. Tell me anybody that moved past it. And listen, it has 100% completion rate. Death and change are my only 2 consistencies in this world. Death and change. You got to embrace change and you got to embrace death. And if you know it's going to happen, why not put yourself like other communities do and put something in place? So if you know it's coming, and it's coming and it's more frequently with what's going on in society now, why not be prepared to know that now I have $200,000 to help the family move and do something, or put this child in a situation where they can be successful, or this uncle or this niece or this cousin or this people, we can take care of our own, just putting some basic financial pieces in place and changing that mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was a great conversation, Aaron. I have enjoyed every bit of it. Yes, indeed. So, what final piece of advice do you have for our business owners who are watching today on how they can start to build legacy and wealth now? What final piece of advice do you have?
I would say, look into the 5 eyes, see what you can put together. But always remember, life is not about what you have, but what you keep and pass on to the next generation.
Yes.
And I live by that.
I love it. Well, Aaron, thank you again. I appreciate you, my friend. And I think we are on tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody, look, you can get round 2 because Lisa's coming over to the Spring into Wealth webinar series on education over entertainment on Facebook. So check us out. We got a lot of exciting things going on and just more information because it's really about building and building each other, and not just networking, but relationship building. So people like to feel comfortable with people they have a relationship with, not just somebody that passed them a business card. So check us out. Education over entertainment, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Myself and Miss Lisa Anderson, virtual CFO. I'm excited. I'm super excited because she's my business coach and she's helping me do some wonderful things for me and my family.
You are doing some wonderful things, and I am looking forward to this being a champion year for
Yes.
you and everybody. And legacy is right there on the horizon.
It's all about legacy building.
Yes, indeed. Well, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thank you so much again for joining in this evening.
All right, Lisa. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Take care.
All right.
So, legacy and wealth, there you have it. Legacy and wealth building are long term initiatives that require long term strategies. We just talked about that. Over reliance upon instant gratification stunts the growth. It really does stunt the growth of businesses. It diminishes value. It ultimately hinders the wealth and legacy building ability. So, take some time this week. Take some time this week and think about the 5 I's, as Aaron mention, and think about that 6th I, which is intention. Think about how you can start to build the intention to invest through your business opportunities. Start with, increasing your profits, increasing your cash flow, increasing your equity so that you can start to invest in other vehicles that are going to help to continue to build your legacy and your wealth. I want to thank you all for joining me today, and we will be back again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. with another conversation about legacy building and wealth building. I will have real estate extraordinaire Stephanie DeBerry. She will be joining me next week, and we're going to talk about ways to build wealth. We're going to extend the conversation from today and talk about ways to build wealth through real estate investing. So we hope to see you back here again next week. And until next time, I am Lisa Anderson, Strategic Business Advisor and Virtual CFO with Anavo Transformation Solutions and your $1 Million Mentor. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you again.